guys, it's a new year. Happy 2025. We've skipped over the last 2 weeks of the season, and here we are. The playoffs are here. Thanks so much for joining us. We're a little bit late. We clearly did not stick to any kind of New Year's resolutions, but thank you for joining us. It is Wednesday night with my girls. We got Beth in the house representing her Bills, who are in the postseason. Whoop, whoop. And we have Laura, who is representing her Lions, who are also in the postseason. Whoop, whoop. Ladies, howdy. How's everything going? What's new?
We're here. We made it. It is playoffs. We are ready for it. And all the drama that comes with it, because there's been a whole lot of drama already this season, or this playoff season. So
lots of drama.
Let's make it happen. But I'm excited. Let's do it.
Well, first, I must say, I have a confession. We're going to start with the confession. Are you ready for the confession?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right, Beth, I'm going to let you pick first. Shall I give you the happy confession that you're going to want to hear, or the shocking confession that you're probably not going to be excited about?
Always the shocking confession first.
Shocking confession is...
Do it.
I watched Enigma. Did you watch it?
No, but I've been watching YouTube videos and people posting about it, and I need to watch it because I feel like it's terrible. Is it as terrible as I want it
Laura,
to be?
have you watched Enigma?
I have not, and for the same reason Beth hasn't. Like it sounds awful, but I kind of want to hate watch it.
I watched it, and I am very conflicted. I'm conflicted. I don't know. Media puts so much out there, and it can lead us down a tunnel. And honestly, we could be wrong about what that is, right? Like, and
don't tell me you're turning a corner on Aaron Rodgers and you like him now.
Oh my gosh, I'm not.
Don't tell me that that's what just happened.
I'm not in my situation of 10 years ago, Aaron Rodgers, where I was like, oh my gosh, love him, love everything about him. But I will say, like, trauma is a bitch. Like, trauma is a bitch. And I feel like, even though it wasn't presented in a light where it was like there was admissions of trauma, but I feel like there was just an upbringing that was maybe harsh. To what degree, I'm not sure. There's been situations. He wasn't forthcoming about that, but he is very forthcoming about, like, what happened to him after he had so much all the accolades he was given after the Super Bowl win, and going through all of that, and what that did to his psyche. I can always appreciate a man who can verbally or verbalize honesty, a place of honesty, a place of humbleness, a place of like, this is what happened, and this is, where I am, and this is what I'm battling through. So I do have some respect in that regard. I do feel like, though, in the healing process, sometimes there's overcorrection, right? So I don't know, but it was interesting because he's doing, like, there's also presentations of the ceremonies that he's involved in, and using guided trips, if you will. I mean, this is very much in my culture. So for people who aren't aware, I am Indigenous. I am Navajo, and in our practice, there is something where we have a sacred leader, if you will, a meditation, what do you call it? A medicine man. Let's put it that way. A medicine man helps guide you through this mental trip, if you will, from using mushrooms, or using, some sort of, can't think, medicinal purposes.
You're going on a trip.
Right.
Guided by medicine. You don't have to make it any better or worse. We've all seen all the other cult movies, but it's I know that it's not but yes. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
So it is a practice. It is actually very healing. It is very much for the purposes of that. And it's similar. It's a similar situation with that he's doing down in, I think it was in Costa Rica or somewhere in South America. All that to say, he's working on himself, and aren't we all, y'all? So, I mean, yes, just some of the stuff he say is a little on left field. But I can appreciate a guy who's trying to improve himself, trying to make him better. So, so that's my shocking admission, is that maybe I'm not hating on him as much as I did before. Do I always think
why I still hate him though? Is because because it's got to be about him.
Right.
So he now just made a movie or a documentary about all of the things that he's been through and is doing to right the ship, and how, I don't know. I haven't watched it. I'm just saying it goes back into the narcissistic cycle that he tends to portray.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to jump the ship from there, right? Like, I'm not ready to say that he's not a narcissist and there's not other situations going on.
But there's a reason behind some of it.
But I think you can, once you understand certain things, there's a little bit more of like, okay, I kind of get it, kind of feel like it's not just I'm a pompous butt that's been raised a pompous ass my whole life with a silver spoon in my mouth, and this is just what I'm owed. You can get to that through trauma. You can get to that through, situations and feel more confident about who you are because of coming through things. So, there's a lot of psychology going on. I am not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but I will just say that maybe I'll take a step back given what I've seen from the documentary. So watch it if you may. Love to hear what your thoughts about it when you get to it. But the second thing, Beth, so we're just gonna move on past that.
Yeah, let's find something better to talk about now. I'm not ready to have that same admission you had, so let's go to something better.
The Mo Betta thing is so your boy, your Magic Feet guy, like your Matt Collins that you adore on your team. For those who don't know, he's a fabulous player on the Bills, and he goes shoeless every chance he gets, and he always wears a sweatshirt that says Hollins, but the two L's are like feet. I've gone shoeless. I'm doing the Hollins. I wanted to surprise you. I've been like roaming these shoes on. Obviously not in my healthcare arena, in my career, but when I'm home, I'm going shoeless. I'm walking the dog shoeless, and it's like really interesting.
So there's a whole lot of grounding that comes from going shoeless, and there's a lot of science behind, being barefoot in the grass and being barefoot on ground. So I'm glad to see that. I am not also doing that. I really like shoes. I do understand that it is a thing though, and it's very important. You also live in Florida.
Yes.
So Laura, please tell me about what your idea of going shoeless is in January.
Yeah, no, not leaving the house by any means. I was just looking it up. Yeah, it's 24 degrees in Asheville, North Carolina right now. So there's no leaving the house without shoes on. And it's getting colder. So definitely not. But I work from home, so I'm not wearing shoes all day. I've got socks on, but in the summer I don't. I don't wear shoes most of the time unless I'm leaving.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of always been that person that didn't I'm always outside without shoes, drove my husband insane. We have, kids. That Drew would always be running around with no shoes on. It drove my husband insane. He was constantly scared that something was going to happen to his feet. But I was like, nah, we're good. And then, but then you can think the older you get, your feet hurt, your joints hurt. You just now I'm wearing shoes in the house and everything. And I'm like, all right, let me get connected. So anyway, thanks Matt Collins for that, for spreading the love and the knowledge on going shoeless. So let's just take a moment then. Let's crack this egg. Let's crack this egg. Guys, we got Beth in the house, Dr. Beth. She is doctorate of physical therapy. I would like to know, and I'm totally springing this on her. We did not prep for this at all. Beth, what are the benefits of going shoeless?
It strengthens your feet. It does a great job of, so when you're in a shoe all the time, you end up creating, you kind of like wearing a brace, you become dependent upon it, right? So if you're in a shoe with a lot of support, you then, all your muscles, all your tendons, all your ligaments can kind of just relax, right? So your body ends up being just supported by the shoe and not by your foot. So there's that. There's been a huge movement for going barefoot or barefoot running. The Vibrams, 5-toe shoes were a big thing, were really hot for a minute, for those same reasons. The idea of allowing your foot to splay out, do its natural thing, and support yourself the way it's supposed to, strengthen, prevents pain, blah, 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 by doing all of those things. The Vibrams were a great idea, except by the way they separated the toes, it actually created more issues. So a lot of people who did do the Vibrams shoes, and I have nothing against them. That's just the only name that pops in my head. But that was what they were really selling. They were actually causing more issues because they were splaying the feet a little bit more than if you were walking naturally. So it is super beneficial to be walking barefoot. Again, there's a huge movement for the earth to body connection of being grounded. They even like sell grounding mats for people because there's so much concrete and other things, and people are always walking with shoes on or never really in contact with the earth. They sell grounding mats and things like that as well to help balance our energy, I guess, is what it would be. So that's really all I have. Desi, do you have more information?
So funny you should
that?
say the grounding mat, because that's kind of where the shoeless thing came from. I did get a grounding mat. I work with someone who's very like into the grounding mats, and I was like, let me try it. And he gave me a book to read as well about it. Basically, like the earth grounds us. What that means is we're animals. We were meant to be in contact with the earth at all times. When we're not, your body's constantly creating waste and something called free radicals. Free radicals hold a charge, right? So if you're not connecting, if you're not getting that grounding from the earth, you can hold this charge within you, and that can cause inflammation, or it's actually a byproduct of inflammation that kind of impacts your health. And so by grounding, you can decrease that charge and thus decrease inflammation. There's been some studies and things that are done on the improvements in sleep, the improvements of reduction of inflammation. They've been using it in injuries. There's an NFL player that basically, I think it was a hamstring injury. They did a thermogram on him, which a thermogram kind of shows you the heat. And when you have areas of inflammation, it lights up darker, like a red, orange color. And so they did this thermogram on the hamstring, and you could see where the injury was. They attached the electrodes to the grounding pad, and he said, I sat there and could see the colors changing. He's like, I felt the difference, but I could also see it and know that there was something happening. So, again, I'm not sure. I know I've been using it. I know that I'm sleeping better. It took me a little bit of time to get used to it. It took a week. I kind of felt weird the first week. I can't really describe what it felt like, but they do say some people need time. It's probably because had like a super negative charge with all the cookies and stuff I ate over the holidays. I'm sure my body was like, we're totally inflamed. But I don't know. I'm trying it. We'll see what happens. But it's not super expensive. It definitely isn't going to hurt you. So if you're out there wanting to check it out, check it out. So here I am, shoeless, grounding, loving Aaron Rodgers again. Who knows? Maybe
You're gonna be taking trips with Aaron Rodgers in a minute. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do with you, Desi.
Never.
Come back.
Gosh. So we missed Laura. The Niners and the Lions played. We were considering having a pod that week. I'm glad low key that we didn't. It was just a situation of like, I knew it was going to be a bad wah. We just needed the season to end, and I can't be happier that our season is over. I need our team to have these amazing next 4 to 6 weeks, 5 weeks of the NFL season, what's left in the postseason, just rest. They need that. They haven't had that in a couple of years. So we are happy, but congrats to your Lions, girl. Walk me through how you've been feeling between that game, this huge game this past weekend. It was like the game of the week.
So good.
Yeah, walk us through.
It was incredible. So I've mentioned before on your show, and it's just a fact of my life. I've been a Lions fan since I was born. I've never seen something like this. This is just unheard of. I was there through 0-16. I was there for all of the terrible seasons. So we knew we had it in us going in to be able to beat the Vikings. We already beat them once this year, even though we had the same record. One of their only losses was to us. So we knew we could do it. So it was pretty crazy, but just like the Lions often do, it starts out maybe a little rough, maybe a bit of a shoot off, and you're like, is this going to be a nail biter? What are we going to do here? But then they really got it together and just shut them down. And they finished that game out absolutely masterfully. They had it was just great to watch. It was, I read something that said it was the best season finale of football in a very, very long time.
It absolutely was. It was one of those games where I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, you guys made them look like high schoolers. I mean, it was an amazing. The first half of the game even was the fact that it was so low scoring, the fact that nobody could do anything. It was phenomenal to watch. And then just to watch you guys pull away in that second half was just super fun.
There was screaming, there was crying. All of those things were happening in our house. Scared the cat a bunch of times because we couldn't stop, jumping up and down. But it was entirely worth it. I just, I liked that it was the night game because that put us center stage. But at the same time, when you like a really good team and all your games are night games, at some point you're really tired.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you the genius of your defensive coordinator to work through the schemes that you guys came up with, despite the multiple injuries you guys have suffered, has been really impressive. Really impressive.
Do you have a cornerback anymore? I think didn't the last cornerback go down? They said it during the game, and I was like, wait, you mean they have no cornerbacks left? Like, who's playing?
Yes. Yes. It has been absolutely crazy with that. And that's, I think, what makes this so incredible. And I think what makes it's because the Lions are doing all of this with second, third, fourth stringers, they're still winning. They're still going out there and playing with all that heart. It really shows that it's not just about the players, that this team has built a culture that gets them past the finish line all the time. It was helpful for us to have Alex Anzalone back this game. Not only just on the field, he played well. He was doing all the things, stopping Sam Darnold, all the stuff you're supposed to do. But I think as a leader too, because I think he kind of helped, bring that together because we are so depleted. And I think it kind of gave a little more energy to the defense this time around.
Yeah. It's been phenomenal. And Beth, I mean, your Bills, you guys are setting up. It looks nice. This could be the Super Bowl. I could be looking at the Super Bowl right now. It could totally be a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. That would be so fun. Absolutely, on this show for sure. So, well, we're going to jump into talking about the playoffs here in just a second. But right before, I will say we had our last Rate the Fit of the season. The people have spoken, and let's go to Rate the Fit. It's the whip for me. Every time that little whip sounds so great. Well, what we did this time, it's the cold everywhere in the country, even in Florida. And we went with the comfy and fashionable styles this week. And this is our winner. It's Russell Wilson. They loved the laid back look of the hoodie with the blue jacket over top, with the black pants, the black bag. I think somebody told me it was Louis Vuitton. I don't know. I can't tell. I just know the man looks good. He had the sunglasses on. He was game day ready. I'm not sure how long they're going to last in the playoffs, but he looked good this past week. So there you go, Ross. Thanks for showing us the fit and the comfort can be all in one. So, all right, here we go.
Why wasn't Josh Allen in that? Because isn't he always in sweats? He should have been in that lineup. It's his lineup all year long.
It's the same, he wears the same outfit every time, and I'm not sure it fit the fashionable column. It's comfy. Not sure.
Why you gotta be so picky?
I'm definitely not hating on Josh Allen. Love my Josh Allen here. All right, so let's go to the grid here, the bracket that Laura slaved over today.
I mean, by slaved.
This is what it looks like. So Kansas City is the number 1 overall slot for the AFC. So they have a bye this week. And the Lions have a bye because they were number 1 in the NFC. So we have on the AFC side, let's spend a little time and love there. We have the Bills going against the Broncos in Buffalo. We have the Steelers playing the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, and we have the Chargers playing the Houston Texans in Houston. So let's talk about this. I want to start off by saying my favorite meme of the week, and I know we didn't do our meme section, but one of my favorite memes this week has been the one that says, Lamar has gone undefeated since his mama cussed him out. So
Yep.
I just need to know if Mama Lamar is going to be cussing him out through the playoffs, because he is 2-4 in the postseason. He was, I think I watched, was it today or yesterday? I saw on ESPN, he was talking about, he thinks he just gets too excited. And so he throws off his own rhythm. He's just too anxious. And so the rhythm is just kind of thrown off. So he said he just needs to settle down. So I just feel like, Mama Jackson needs to just cuss him out, get him to chill his little butt down, and maybe he can have a decent postseason. Not that that's what Beth is going to want to hear at all.
Like, why are we talking about this? Like, that's not. That is not who I want to play. That's not who we wanted to play earlier in the season either. So maybe.
Okay, so take it away.
Not.
Talk to me about the AFC. What are your thoughts?
I do think Baltimore will win. I do think they'll win over the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers have been consistent enough. They are on this weird downward slope that I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson out and what's going on with their team. But it hasn't been really pretty wins. So I have a hard time believing that they're going to beat Baltimore this weekend. We're going to beat Denver. They're asking for us. So we're going to bring it.
Yes.
They were very excited to bring on Buffalo. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't think it's going to be pretty for them. I think Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I think he's got a great career ahead of him. I don't want to take anything away from what the Denver Broncos have done this season. I do not believe that they will win, though.
While we're talking about the Broncos and we're in the AFC, what are your guys' thoughts? Because Travis Kelce on their podcast, Jason Kelce was telling him that there were people that were speculating that they threw the game, air quote, threw the game, so that because the Chiefs played the Broncos in Denver, they sat out pretty much their entire starting lineup and they lost. The key was if they had won, the Cincinnati Bengals would have been in. And of course, we know that is a team that is very threatening to the Chiefs. Travis Kelce went on to say that he's not afraid of anybody. He'll play them in the Walmart parking lot if they wanted to, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Only because he's not going to play them now.
Are we buying this?
Listen, I told you before via text when we were talking earlier. First of all,
Preach, sister,
The
preach.
Chiefs lost 38-0.
Yeah.
It's not even like they should not. The plane that was grounded, that was delayed, they never should have gotten on. Like, why did they bother showing up? So yes, I do think maybe there's a little truth to that. I also believe I said this too. Like, I think New Orleans threw their game in hopes that to just make sure Atlanta wouldn't make the playoffs. I definitely think that this is all there's lots of movements happening. I absolutely believe it.
Which, by the way, I just want to say, you sent me the Rate the Fit picture of Carson Wentz looking like a leprechaun, and I'm like, I can't even put him on there because he's not gonna, like, they're not gonna win. Like, he's just being set up for literally failure. Like, what is? No,
but he went in with like all the heart. Like, he dressed to impress. You have to give him that.
I mean,
It was major Casablanca vibes.
I'm just saying I'd pick Josh Allen over that outfit.
Anyway, yes, I think they threw that game, whether it was to make sure the Bengals didn't make it or just to be dicks. I don't know, but either way, I absolutely believe nobody in the Chiefs was like, nobody ever wants to lose 38-0. I don't care how. Even Buffalo didn't play their starters,
right?
And still scored.
Like, and it was right. Like, it's really hard not to score at all.
Yeah. Especially when you're an elite team. I mean, there's no doubt that the Chiefs are elite.
Try.
Yeah.
Right? You have to try. You have to try not to score at that point.
So, Laura, what are your thoughts? You're
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they threw it per se. Like, I just don't know that they cared as much because they wanted to, no one is a threat to the Chiefs. It's a high likelihood they could make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, they obviously have for the last couple of years. So I think that I don't want them to make it to the Super Bowl, but they are an elite team, and I think that they cared a lot more about resting their starters than worrying about the game because their record was already what their record was. So,
yeah. Which is fine, and I get that. I just think it was I'd be pissed if I was the Broncos.
I'm sure they are.
Like, I would be
well, no,
really
they're
angry.
In the postseason, so do they?
I would be angry that it's like playing a game with your kids, and then like you get to the point where like they let you win, right? Like, where they're finally better than you, and they're like, "Oh, there, Mom, I'll let you win this game today because I feel bad for you."
And I feel bad for Cincy. I do think they would have been in the playoffs. I mean, they would have been. And they did just throw their entire season because of it.
And Cincinnati is one of those teams that has lost games that they shouldn't have lost. Like, they have, I mean, Joe Burrow is right there in the MVP race. And he just, it's like you just look at it and you go, golly, like the cards just did not fall in their direction this year. And unfortunately, it feels like that happens a lot in Cincinnati.
Their defense is trash.
So is their offensive line. Joe Burrow was on the ground more all season.
Listen,
with the
their
amount
offense, no. Their offense had zero problem scoring. It was the defense.
Not scoring. It was protecting Joe Burrow. He was on the ground 80% of the season.
It didn't affect the scoreboard, is my point.
It didn't, but they still need to protect him.
Sure.
But I'm just saying in terms of...
They want him to play next year.
No, in terms of your comment, though, of like they came close in many games, but if their defense had shown up and was able to stop the blood, stop the hemorrhage that was happening on the field, they would have won even 2 more games, 3 more games that would have significantly impacted the postseason. And then you've got someone like the Lions where they've just annihilated from a health perspective defensively, and they continue to win games. So it's just, what happened on the defensive side of that ball that just couldn't get it together to win some of these games that they were just within breach of, right? So, I mean, I think there was how many games that they had where the score was like over 40 points? I mean, he was just balling out, and there's just no help on the other side. That's not complimentary football at all. So, all right. Well, what do we think about the Chargers going against the Texans there in Texas?
You know, I'm not really sure about this one. I know you love some Stroud. I know you love CJ Stroud.
Nico, a Nico fan.
And Nico, yeah. I'm kind of feeling the Chargers, though, to be honest with you. And maybe it's just they're just hot right now. There's something about them. I'm really feeling the Chargers on this one. So that's where I'm headed.
Laura?
I think obviously just from their rankings, right? But out of these matchups, I think they're the most where, some of them, like you said, the Bills ought to win. That's probably not going to be much of a contest. I think this one will be a contest. And I don't really know who I want to win, but I'd probably go with the Texans just because of, we beat them and also, their history. So I think the Texans could pull this off.
Interesting. So last season, I was really excited. DeMeco Ryans had just started with the team. They just got CJ Stroud. And I had said in our preseason podcast that I was really excited about that team, and I thought they would do good things, and they had a great season last year. The beginning of this season, I said, Chargers, keep an eye on them because you can't sleep on Harbaugh. He is an incredible coach. He's been known. That is his brand, as a matter of fact, to turn teams around. I suspected that they would be able to make the postseason. I am excited about what he's done there and what they're putting together. I mean, I'm seeing a little bit, actually kind of got goosies right now because I'm just thinking about how good their quarterback is now and how much I feel like Jim has just empowered him, right? And he's starting to do more, getting out of the pocket, running a little bit more, being a little bit more aggressive, having that confidence. This is the right time of year to do that. So as much as I love DeMeco Ryans and everything that's going on in Texas, I do feel like, the Chargers could win this. Now it is in Houston. So this is going to be a great matchup. Looking forward to this game for sure this weekend. So, all right. Anything else you want to say about the AFC, Beth, before we turn the page to the NFC?
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Of course. All right. So let's go to the NFC side of the ball. As we've said, the Lions have a bye. So we're looking at the Packers playing the Eagles in Philly. Brutal. And with Jordan Love, I meant to look it up. I need to see. He injured his elbow. It was very
I think they're expecting him to play. Hold on.
Okay.
I feel like I just looked it up.
Okay.
They are hopeful. They believe that he's going to play. He should be back.
Okay, great.
I think he did a walkthrough today.
Perfect. We have Minnesota playing the Chargers in LA. And then we have the Commanders here in Tampa. I am going to that game. I've been invited to the game by a friend of mine.
Yay!
So I will be there late AF because it's going to be 8:15. So I will do my best to get the sleep I need to be ready for next week. But these are some great games, I think, on the NFC side of the ball. So I want to just end with this and talk about these games and spend some time here. Laura, let's chat with you because you are, you're a Lions fan. And this is going to be the teams that you may be matched up with and be seeing in the postseason. So what are your thoughts on the NFC side of the ball? What games are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? What do you not want to see happen?
Well, I would say that looking at the Eagles Green Bay, I think that's going to be a nearly impossible game for Green Bay. The Eagles, obviously, they're second seed in our conference. Green Bay is not as, fantastic. It turns out we had a really good division in the NFC North, and 3 out of the 4 teams played really well this year. They're not a bad team, but I don't think they're the Packers of old. You know, I firmly do not believe that Jordan Love is the next, great quarterback to come out of Green Bay. I think he's good. I think he'll be good, but I don't think he's a Brett Favre. I don't think he's a Aaron Rodgers. I don't even think he's a Bart Starr. So,
but wait, are those compliments though?
Right, exactly.
I was like, stop talking.
I would like for him to be a better human. If he could also be a good quarterback, that'd be great. But they did have a history of really amazing quarterbacks that turned out to be sort of dumpster fires of people. So
both of them, to be honest with you.
Right, exactly.
We don't need to go into all that, but they're both dumpster fires.
Correct. So, but I don't think that Green Bay has a shot against the Eagles. I don't think that's going to happen. It would be a huge spoiler if they did.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think I agree with that too. It's in Philly. Anytime you're going to Philly and it's postseason in Philly, that's just gnarly. Saquon is that dude, right? Like he's the reverse hurdle guy. I mean, they've got some good, they've set themselves up for success. I think Jalen Hurts has also been a little bumped and banged around a little bit. I think he's set to play.
He's planned to be back because he had a concussion. He was out for a concussion, but he's back as well, so he'll be playing.
So yeah, so I think this, Eagles have this one in the bag. Moving on to, I'm gonna move on to the Vikings Rams. Did I say Chargers before? I meant Rams because there's two teams in LA now.
And their logos and colors are almost identical.
It's very hard.
Yeah. So this game is intriguing to me because, you can't sleep on Matthew Stafford.
No.
And they started off really rough in the beginning of the season. Pretty much a lot of us wrote them off by the middle of the season, and then they had this resurgence come through. And boy, when the 49ers played them this last time, I mean, Matthew Stafford was just that dude. I mean, he was throwing dots. You got Puka Nacua all healed up and ready to go. You got Cooper Kupp. I mean, you've got some studs, and they've been to the big dance before and they've won it. So this is a sneaky, dangerous team. The Vikings are really, really good. So, I mean, this is going to be interesting. How does the Vikings bounce back from the game that you guys took them out of, right? And so they're coming off a loss, and this will be an interesting matchup. I think I would say I'm leaning towards the Rams, but I mean, this could really be anybody's game.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. The matchup I would prefer to see the following week would be the Rams, only because I don't want to do the Vikings again. Like, we don't need to play them. I think
they're going to come back with a vengeance if you play
right.
them again.
And I think we could beat them, but I think the more interesting game and probably the more likely game would be the Rams, and that would be such an interesting matchup with the former quarterbacks again head to head. We beat them earlier this season. So I think that would be a really, really interesting game. So I'm going for the Rams this week.
Well done, script writers of the NFL, right? Well done. Great story. Either way. Beth, what are your thoughts?
I'm actually thinking the Vikings. I don't see them going 2 losses in a row, right? They got their wake-up call against the Lions. They went from possible 1 seed and getting a bye week to the 5th seed, right? Like, and how does that even happen? For that game to be that consequential, I think they're gonna come back hitting hard with a little bit of spit and vinegar. So I'm seeing the Vikings come back through because I think they want vengeance on Detroit, and they're going to do what they need to do to get there. I still think Detroit can beat them next time around, but I think they're coming in guns blazing.
Okay. I mean, speaking of consequential teams, how about the Bucks? Rolled up and ended up being the 3rd seed in the NFC. And they're changing their name to the Duccaneers. Do you know about this?
I didn't hear about that. I saw you message me something about it, but I did not research further.
So in the middle of the game 2 weeks ago, there's this duck that lands on the field in the middle of a kickoff, like a punt return or something like that. And the duck is just chilling on the field, like it barely like waddled off or whatever before it happened. And so like it became this whole thing, like someone caught the duck because they didn't want it to interfere with the game. And so they brought it back for the game last week. So the Bucks were
the same duck?
The same duck. And there's video of like Tom Brady interacting with the duck on the sideline. Y'all need to see Beth's face. That's memeable. I'm making that a meme. Beth's face will be a meme after this episode. And it was a whole sitch, right? It was a whole sitch because then like the fans were calling Ducky, Ducky. Like the fans are chanting Ducky. Then the poor Bucky, I guess, I don't even know the guy's name, but he's like, why are they cheering for me? I'm not doing anything. I think the guy's name is Bucky or whatever. And they were like, no, they're cheering Ducky.
They're cheering for the duck.
The duck. Yeah. So I feel like this is like the good luck duck. And so I do expect to see a sighting on Sunday when I'm at the game. But Jaden Daniels has done a hell of a job being QB1 for the Washington Commanders. I'm excited to see this team come through. You know, this team was put together this year. Adam Peters, who came from 49ers, is the one who helped build this team. And they've had a heck of a season. And I think this is another one that could be anyone's game, right? We saw Baker Mayfield this last game come out, struggle, in the first half of the game, but then turned it around in the second half. You saw Mike Evans tie Jerry Rice's record of 11 seasons with consecutive 1,000 plus yards, that's an incredible feat. And then I saw later today, and I didn't double check this data. So you guys, if you're watching this, you can double check it. But apparently Mike Evans has gone more than 1,000 yards since his senior year in high school. Apparently he didn't even play football until his senior year of high school. And he went over 1,000 yards then, played 2 years in college. Both years in college went over 1,000 yards, and then has had an 11-year season in the NFL, over 1,000 yards. Tremendous work. He is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, especially with contested catches. He's that guy, man. So congratulations to Mike Evans. But this is going to be a heck of a game this weekend for sure. And I'm so excited to be there. What are your guys' thoughts on that game?
I think that'll be a fun one to be at, to watch live. It's going to be pretty awesome. I think that people are sleeping on Washington. I think that, to be fair, the NFC South was in and of itself a dumpster fire. And it could have been Tampa Bay and it could have been Atlanta until the last minute. So, Tampa got lucky, and especially getting the seeding they did just because of someone had to win that division, right? But Washington is super, super good. So I think that could be an interesting game to see.
All right.
I think it'll be fun to watch as well. I think the idea of I don't think Tampa Bay is there yet. I'll just put it that way. I don't think they're ready yet. I think they have all the makings, but they're just not there yet. I agree. I think Washington Redskins are going to win. I think it'll be a great game. Maybe the Duck will bring them luck and Tampa Bay takes it. But I picked Tampa Bay just because of our people. But I think the Redskins might take it. Not the Redskins. I'm sorry, the Commanders may take it because I have not. We said before we even started this podcast, I know nothing about the Washington Redskins or the Washington Commanders. Gosh darn it. I know nothing about the Commanders outside of the fact that they're in the playoffs. I slept on them all season. So we'll see.
Well, I feel like you guys kind of slept on the Bucks. Just to rehash, a little bit here. The Bucks, this was the score against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, 24-30. Okay. They barely lost to the 49ers by 3 points. They beat the Chargers 40-17. That's the same Chargers team that we were just talking about that's made the postseason, right? So their schedule was fairly easy, right? Like they played some teams that were like, you know, they just because, like you said, Laura, their division, right? So the Falcons, they played a couple times. They played Carolina. They played the Cowboys. They played the Raiders, the Saints. You know, I mean, these are, you know, it's not a super tough, the Jaguars, right? But I mean, that's where I think it could go either way. I think I live in, well, I know I live in Tampa, and I love the Bucks. I love, oh my gosh, did you guys see the video of when Baker was in college and he's got the team around him and he's doing like this dance, and I'm like, uh-oh, boys got moves. Like, hey, loved it. You cannot not love Baker Mayfield. And you know, again, Vita Vea and Mike Evans and all, you know, they've got great players, but I love the energy the Commanders are coming in with. I think they've had a little bit of a tougher season. Rookie quarterback. I mean, this is a great story. So I mean, I'm just going to go to this game and enjoy it. I honestly have no skin in the game, and we'll see what happens. But it's the beginning of the playoffs, and I think this is the best time for us to make our predictions for the Super Bowl. So, what are your pre-playoff Super Bowl predictions? And I feel like I know what both of you are going to say, but
I was going to say, do you need to ask us?
Yeah, I think we know what matchup, and I think we know who each of us wants to win.
But for giggles, Beth, who do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be Buffalo and Detroit. I really do. I cannot imagine. I can't imagine Buffalo succumbing to the Chiefs again in playoffs. I can't imagine that.
You're gonna have to play in Arrowhead.
I can't imagine Buffalo succumbing to the Chiefs in the playoffs again. That is what I am saying.
Oh my gosh.
And Detroit is who's to be reckoned with. Like, they are. I can't imagine anybody beating Detroit right now. I really can't. I see them going all the way. The heart, the soul, everything is there. The city's behind them. The team's behind them. The fire is there. The energy's there. That's my Super Bowl matchup.
Okay, Laura.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I'm also hopeful for the same thing. The other AFC teams that are leading up to it, I don't want to be matched up against. I don't want to play the Chiefs, although we did beat them last year, first game of the season, right after their Super Bowl win in Arrowhead. So that was not even this year's team. So that would be okay. But I don't want to match up against the Ravens. And I really do think that the Bills and the Lions would be the best. I mean, if our Vikings game was the best season finale of football, I think that this matchup would be one of the best Super Bowls ever. Just before we even see who wins, I think it would just be an exciting game.
I agree with that. I truly think the energy behind both of these teams is something unprecedented. So I don't know. Buffalo wasn't supposed to be here. This was a rebuilding year. We didn't have any real names behind us, and Detroit has lost all of their players and is still there. I think it's two teams with a handful of great players and a team full of players who are willing to step up, where I think other teams have 3 or 4 star players and they ride on that. And we're two teams that don't have that.
All right. Well, I love that. I love it. Now don't shoot me. I'm just going to put some things out there, right? So in my heart, I would love nothing more than a Bills-Lions face-off in the Super Bowl. Love that. That would be, if someone came to me and said, who would you pick? Boom, I would pick you guys, right? So that said, the only concern I have, Laura, is your defense. Sounds silly, right? Because you guys have made it work, and I just praised it all over the place earlier in this podcast. However, here's the statistics. When you're looking at the top total defense in the NFL, guess who's number one on defense yards average? The Eagles. Guess how many touchdowns allowed? 33. Guess how many other teams had more touchdown or less touchdowns allowed? The only other team was the Chargers. Okay. Go on to the passing defense side. Guess who's number one on that side? The Eagles. Why? They just want to torture me. And they've only allowed a passing 22 points, 22 touchdowns allowed at passing touchdowns allowed. There's only 22 for the Eagles. And I think the Jets had a better one, and the Bears, surprisingly, and the Saints. But nonetheless, we're coming up on, I feel like the Eagles, you could make an argument for just for complementary football's sake, both sides of the ball. It will be, they're tough. They're a tough contender. And I hate myself for saying that. And you guys are going to have them right out of the gate after you come out of this divisional round or the wild card round. So that'll be a fascinating game to me. Beth, I think nobody wants Kansas City to win, but I told my husband, I was like, once my season ended, thank God, RIP to my season with the 49ers. But I was like, okay, well, let's go Buffalo. And for those who don't know, my husband is a Ravens fan. He was like, what? No, you gotta cheer for. I'm like, I don't have to cheer for anybody I don't want to cheer for. But I am on the Lamar. I love me some Lamar. I love that the stories with his mom. I love the stuff that he talks about. He is so real and down to earth. Like, I could really just sit on the couch and kick it with him. Like, just talk about life with him. And I think I would be thoroughly entertained. He just seems like a fascinating player. I do wish he had better success in the postseason. Two-time MVP, could make a case for a third time here. I know Beth does not want to hear any of this. Insert Beth meme. I'm going to make that happen next time around. But this is going to be, it's going to be fun to just enjoy the playoffs and not have to be so wired up about my team being in there and losing or winning.
Must be hard to not have a team in the playoffs and not be not be.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'm being
Tell us what it's like, Desiree.
Most of my life
not have a winning team.
I'm dodging the bullets. No, but best of luck to both of you. Well, I mean, Laura, your team's not playing, so you get to enjoy this week as well.
Yeah, this is the first week that I feel like I can just breathe. I don't even know that I'll watch any football. I'll just check the scores.
Just wait till the end and just find out who you play later.
Exactly.
That's interesting because I'm one I want to watch my competition, so I want to watch all the games and see. Okay, this team's. I think we can beat this team. I think we can beat that team. So that's fascinating.
Well, it's hard now. It's all Saturday and all Sunday. Like this is now like the hard part. Like it's all weekend. Moving to the South, college football took over Saturdays, and I would watch NFL on Sundays. And for a while, I dated a guy, and he was a college football fan. And then I would be NFL, and I was like, we cannot spend 2 days. Like I can't spend the entire weekend watching football. Like we've got to pick. I can't do both. Like I don't have, and now here I am having to watch both days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, on that, I'm going to just the last thing, because we never got to this before. This has just been held in for weeks now. When Bill Belichick was announced as the head coach for UNC's football team, I was like, okay, because also I'm a big UNC fan. I went to school in North Carolina. So I'm a big Tar Heel fan, and mostly because of basketball, though I don't really watch college football. But I will say at that time, the day that happened, when that news broke, the first thing I said was, okay, now let's bring Prime to FSU so that ACC can blow up in the college game, and so I'm here for it. So, you know, Dion, if you're watching somewhere, can you please take a job at Florida State University, your alma mater, so that we can just show the SEC what's up. So that's my 2 cents on that. Thank you. I feel better now that I got that. All right, guys. So lastly, what are we doing for the game, Beth? What's your game day going to look like for this weekend for your Bills game?
Oh, it's killing me. I got to work a little bit. So I won't be able, actually, most likely won't be able to watch the game until second quarter, or almost halftime. So I will be working. I'll be seeing some clients in the morning and early afternoon. And if my family knows what's best for them, I'm sure they'll have the game on in the background. They're very good. They always make sure when I work Sundays over there, they've always got football on for me. So I will probably be watching it while I'm working at a client's house. And then I'll be home and finishing watching the game with my children and my husband. Nothing big, just going to make it happen.
All right. Well, we'll be watching for you. We'll be giving them all of our love and support. Go Bills, go Lions, anybody but, no, I won't even say that. I'm not going to throw that shade out there, but if you know, you know. So.
You don't have to throw it out this week. Throw it out next week.
There you go. All right, guys, enjoy the games this weekend, and join us next Wednesday as we talk about the conclusion of Wild Card Weekend and into the divisional round. We wish you all the best this weekend. Stay warm and happy football.
Go Bills.